So, if Genesis chapter 1 gave us the whole universe, chapter 2, well, it gives us ourselves. We're about to dive deep into what this ancient story has to say about the human equation, about our search for meaning, and really our fundamental place in the world. Let's get right into it. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with a major shift in perspective, then see how the story goes from these huge cosmic ideas to personal names, and then we'll get into the core definition of what a human being actually is. After that, we'll look at the network of relationships that define us, the picture of the world as it was meant to be, and finally, we'll wrap up with why this story still matters so much, even now. Okay, first things first. It is so important to understand that Genesis 2 isn't just a repeat of chapter 1. Not at all. It's a complete reframing. The storyteller is deliberately, and I mean deliberately, changing our point of view on the whole story of creation. And that phrase? It absolutely nails it. Think about it. Genesis 1 was like the satellite view, right? It was God's perspective, looking down on everything. But in chapter 2, the camera suddenly drops right down to ground level. All of a sudden, we've got our feet on the earth, and we're seeing the world from a human perspective. You can really see the contrast here. We zoom in from this massive cosmic scale to a human scale. We go from God's grand, overarching point of view to a story that puts one single person right at the center of the action. You could almost say chapter 1 is about the how of the universe, but chapter 2 is all about the meaning of being human inside of it. And this zoom in, from the vast to the intimate, it isn't just about changing the scale. It's about making things personal. The story now intentionally shifts from these big general categories to specific individual identities. Just look at what's happening here. What was just God in chapter 1 becomes the Lord God. That's a much more personal, relational name. The general category of male and female becomes the actual individuals, Adam and Eve. Even the generic dry ground gets a specific name and a location, Eden.
And this is the whole point, right? Names are literally the building blocks of relationships. You can't really relate to an abstract concept. By giving names to God, to people, and to places, the story is telling us its focus has changed, from cosmic creation to personal connection.
So this brings us right to the heart of it, to the very definition of a human being. And the text gives us this profound and surprisingly simple formula for what we are. But first, look at the picture of God we're getting. The text is doing something really interesting. It's holding two huge ideas together at the same time. On one hand, God is near, relational, walking in the garden, so intimacy is possible. But on the other hand, God is transcendent, the ultimate authority, so reverence is necessary. You lose either side of that equation, and the whole picture just falls apart. And here it is, the human equation. It's that simple. We are formed from the dust of the earth, but we are animated by the very breath of God. And what's really crucial here is that the text doesn't say a human has a soul. It says a human becomes a living soul. We're being shown as this incredible integrated whole, an animated body, a physical being that is filled with divine life.
This whole idea is even baked right into the name Adam, which literally means dust. Now, this isn't an insult or anything. It's a statement of origin, a reminder of our connection to the earth. What makes humanity unique isn't the dust we're made from, it's the divine breath within us. That is the source of all our dignity.
Now, the story doesn't just create this person and leave them floating in a vacuum, right? No, it immediately places him inside this rich network of connections. And the message is clear. A meaningful life can only be understood through relationships. And this network flows in three main directions. There's the relationship upwards with God, there's the relationship downwards with creation, and there's the relationship outwards alongside one another. And each one of these is presented as absolutely essential. That relationship with God is shown to us through two key symbols. You see, the trees in the garden, they aren't just magical objects. Think of them as physical representations of massive spiritual truths. The tree of life represents our total dependence on God for our very existence. And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that represents his ultimate moral authority, his right to define reality itself.
And then, in a world that has only ever been called good, God says something that just stops you in your tracks. And this is before any sin, before any failure. It tells us something absolutely fundamental. Loneliness isn't just a result of a broken world. It's a basic limitation of being human. We are built for connection.
And that's why woman is created, to complete this relational picture. She is formed from the man, which shows they share the same essence. She is created for the man as a necessary partner he can't live without, and she is placed alongside the man, signifying equal dignity. The whole design is one of cooperation, not competition. So, when you put all these pieces together, the connection to God, the connection to creation, and the connection to each other, this chapter gives us this absolutely stunning portrait of the world in perfect, beautiful balance. And there's a Hebrew word for this state, shalom, and it means so much more than just the absence of fighting. It describes this deep, all-encompassing harmony and wholeness that goes in every direction. Nothing is broken, nothing is hidden, and there is no shame. This is the ideal.
And this completely changes how you read God's warning about the tree, right? It's not some arbitrary threat like a king making a random rule. It's a statement of cause and effect. If you rebel against the very source of life and harmony, the inevitable consequence isn't just a punishment, it's death. It's the natural, unavoidable outcome of disconnection.
So what's the big takeaway here? Why does this ancient blueprint for humanity still resonate so deeply with us today? Let's try to boil down the core truths this story tells us about who we are. First, it gives us an identity. It tells us that we are here on purpose, not by some cosmic accident. And it tells us that we are fundamentally relational beings, designed for connection, not for isolation, which suggests our real meaning is found in community, not just in being a rugged individual. And second, it defines our position in the universe. We're accountable to a higher authority. We're not completely autonomous. We are dependent on a creator for life itself. We're not fully self-sustaining. This means we have this incredible freedom, but that freedom exists within a given framework. And it all comes down to this beautiful paradox that sits at the very heart of our identity. We come from humble dust, yet we are given incredible dignity by the very breath of God. We are given amazing freedom and authority, but we are not the ultimate rulers of our own lives. So this portrait of shalom, of perfect harmony, this is the foundation, and it leaves us with this huge critical question. If this is the blueprint for how everything is supposed to work, what happens when it all fractures? Because every single tragedy that follows in the human story, it begins right here, with the breaking of these core relationships. And that is exactly where the story is about to take us.